So, in your career, what was the biggest life-changing or career-changing question? Welcome to day 5 of a 90-day challenge. What is the challenge? So if you're a messenger, if you got a message that matters, I'm challenging everybody on Facebook to do, if you're serious, you do a Facebook Live once a day for 90 days. I'm going to keep going after that, but I challenge you for 90 days. Now, I really am proud of Rena and Becky and Tom and all the people who've been doing, Gary, who've been doing this. So that's cool. But if you got the challenge and you didn't take it, why? What is it that was stopping you? Oh, I'm too busy. Yeah, well, 5 minutes to help the people who you're trying to help and help build your following, that's a good 5 minutes. We waste so much time. But let's talk about the career, your career. So for me, I have been a Toastmaster and a speaker for many years. And the path is never clear. It's always changing. There's dark times, there's light times, there's crazy times. And so it's kind of like ups and downs and ups. And you're not really quite sure where we're going. And neither is Dawson, my cameraman. So, and he's got to go backwards. I'm going backwards. But what is it? There's going to be times when, you're trying to make things happen. You're working really hard and something happens and you take a downturn. So let's see if Dawson could do this. Woohoo, nice job, Dawson. But what was the life-changing question? See, I know one of the challenges and one of the things that people, when they're doing the Facebook Live, if they're trying to help people, and I'm trying to help people who have a message, like, what do you talk about? 90 different ideas or pieces of content. So some of you know my story, that there's some caution along the way, but that I won the world championship of public speaking. Oh, the trophy. Now here's the funny part. When I joined the speech contest, I didn't even know I was in the world championship. I was really just working on my skills. I used the contest as a way to force me to work on the stories I was already having, because I was thinking way beyond the trophy. I was trying to think of how can I improve my career? If you know Craig Valentine's quote, he said, if you want to master peace, you have to master the pieces. So I had some experience and that got me through part of the contest. But it wasn't until I met Mark Brown. Mark Brown was the 1995 world champion. But the life or career-changing question for me started when Mark sat me down at the very beginning. I'm going backwards in time, so you know why I'm doing this. If I go all the way back to when I first met Mark and he agreed to coach me, he asked me, the first question was, choose a child in your life. Well, I don't have any children, so I thought of my nephew, my oldest nephew, Michael. He said, okay, now let me ask you this, Darren. If you were going to die tomorrow, what one lesson from your life would you want to pass on to Michael to help him through his life? What? And Mark stopped me. He said, don't just answer now. We need to take the time to reflect on this. And so I took a pad of paper and I started writing out every lesson I ever learned. Now, some of them are, obvious, and some of the stories I heard about, Thomas Edison 5,000 times or 4,000 times to invent the light bulb, and Abe Lincoln failed, and all these different lessons from my life. I just listed them out, and that's what I suggest you do, because it was helpful to me. But it wasn't until you go really deep. So if you're doing the 90-day challenge yourself, it's going to be like number 78 or number 56 that you get this brilliance that you would have never found if you didn't go deeper, if you didn't go through this 90-day challenge. So if you're truly a messenger, I start today. even if it, even though I'm already maybe on day 5, it doesn't matter when you start. But what happened for me was I was on the 3/4 of the way down of the 4th page when I wrote down the idea. I became a comedian because I was willing to fail. And I kept going. I went on a few more, and Mark said, narrow it down. So this took me 3 or 4 days. He said, narrow it down, and what's the one lesson you would pass on to your nephew to help him through the rest of his life? And looking through all the list, if I want to teach him everything. I want him to know everything. But if I could only give him one, what would it be? And I kept that one about willing to fail started resonating with me. And I just said, you know what? That's the lesson I learned from experience that I would pass on to Michael. So it's got to be things that you lived, things that changed your perspective. And that's truly where your power is. That's where your story is. And maybe it's just a part of your story, and maybe you haven't thought back to how it's affected your whole career or your life. So, and the cool part was, it helped me so much in my delivery every time I got on stage when I was practicing that speech and working on that speech. He said, take your nephew Michael and put him in the 4th row. And he said, just deliver it to Michael and let everybody else eavesdrop. In fact, I remember him reminding me before the Toastmasters convention when there were going to be 2,000 people. He said, Darren, just put Michael in the 4th row and give it to Michael and let 1,999 other people just eavesdrop. But what that did for me in delivering the message was it got me to go deep. I wanted to make sure he got it because it would be my last time. So when you can put yourself in the mindset, it forces you to go deeper. When you choose a child in your life, you want to pass these lessons on to you. It forces you to go to deeper, and that's where you truly find your story. So the life-changing question is, or career-changing question, is if you're going to die tomorrow, what one lesson, or what lessons, that you learned from your life would you pass on to that child? Inspire by example. See you tomorrow.